Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel Cush, and this is my 8-week twin C-section, basically my postpartum update. I've in other videos, I've kind of mentioned like things that were going on, but I really didn't want to film this until like the 8-week mark, which is like traditionally how long they say it takes to recover from a C-section. And so, as many of you may already know, if you've been following my journey, you can subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you like the twin journey, basically postpartum updates, so you can follow along and see how I'm doing. But if you've been following along, thank you. You may have seen my twin birth story already. That I kind of cover like what happened in the first 8 days postpartum. And I go really in depth with it because I had an emergency C-section and I had HELLP syndrome. And just like a general quick recap of what happened, my liver and kidneys were failing. My digestive tract stopped. My colon was not well. And so I spent 8 days in the hospital and the boys went home a little bit before me. It also kind of messed up my breastfeeding journey in the beginning. And so postpartum has kind of been like an up and down roller coaster for me. But I'm so excited to make this video because looking back on like the videos that I made leading up to the birth of the twins, and then also like in the first couple of weeks afterwards, I was super tired. I can see it in my face. I can see it in my body. Like I just felt, ugh. And so it's kind of nice to make a video with like all good news and all like really good stuff. So this is a great video for me to make. I'm really enjoying the postpartum period. And so I'm just going to share what's been going on. I guess the easiest thing would be to start with like after coming home from the hospital, I was still on medicine, still working through some of the stuff, aftermath of HELLP syndrome. My digestive tract was still kind of like up and down with how it was doing. And in the first week I was home, I was just extremely tired. Obviously, having twins all night long also will make you tired. And so, so like how much of that was recovery and how much of that was just no sleep, who will ever know. I guess we'll start with the C-section scar itself because it basically was the least troublesome, painful part of my entire postpartum journey so far, which is crazy because a C-section is major surgery. They're cutting through your skin, your fat, your uterus. They pull apart your muscles. So there's a lot that goes into it. And yet that part of it has been kind of the easiest for me. My C-section scar when I came home was extremely puffy and like fluid like around it. It almost created like a shelf and it was like very like bumpy or just like swollen. And at the corners, I could feel like it was almost hard. So it was just very odd, but I was going in for checks pretty often. So my OB said that it was healing right and it looked really good. So, that's all that we can hope for. Now it's been 8 weeks. The scar is relatively flat. There's not really, actually it's completely flat. The only thing that I will say about it that's odd is that it's been 8 weeks and there's still no feeling for about like an inch or two above the C-section scar, like the whole scar. The scar I think has healed really nicely, but I can't feel the skin above it. And the only reason I know this is because I will be like lotioning my body and I will like get to that part and it'll feel odd. Like I can feel it on my fingertips, but not on my stomach. And so the other day I was like, well, is it in my head or like, is it just like weird feeling? So I was pinching like the top of my stomach really hard until the skin turned white and it like hurt. And I did it right above my C-section scar till the skin turned white, but I couldn't feel a thing. So if any moms out there who've had a C-section had this like weird numbness, I honestly like, I didn't know about it and maybe it's normal for a lot of people, but like if you had it, is it still numb and how long? And when you got your feeling back, or if you got feeling back, when did that happen? Like, I don't know. It's just weird. I feel like I can't feel my own like abdomen. So anyways, the C-section scar is healing really amazing and I'm really happy with that. One of the things that I did kind of have a little bit of issue with postpartum that wasn't due to the C-section scar was bleeding. I actually didn't really know that you would bleed a ton after having a C-section. I assumed that was only for vaginal birth, and I was very wrong. When I came home, the bleeding was like normal, like I would say what I thought was normal. I was using overnight pads. I didn't have to use the hospital pads after a while. But in week three, week three, I actually passed 3 blood clots in the same day that were like bigger than the palm of my hand. I wasn't feeling well those days. I don't want to say I felt feverish, but I just like felt under the weather. It was the weirdest sensation. I felt like a lot of cramping, and then I passed these blood clots, and I ended up taking a photo of them because they were so alarmingly large. And I brought it to my OB. I called them, and they had me come in immediately. And then we did a pelvic exam, and my cervix was still 4 inches, or 4 inches, oh my Lord, 4 centimeters dilated. So we ended up for 3 weeks monitoring it via ultrasound. I had a transvaginal ultrasound every week and then a follow up to it. And what it showed was there was like a large blood clot above the cervix and then several large blood clots still up inside of the uterus. And so there were 3 options with that to get them to come out. The first was just to let them pass naturally because I had already passed a couple. The second one would be to take these pills that like make them come out over the course of like 12 hours. And then the third one would have been like a like small surgery where they like just scrape them out. And so obviously we didn't want to do surgery. In the first week, we tried to let them pass naturally. A couple of them came out, but when we went and did an ultrasound the second week, there was still plenty of blood clots still there, and they didn't want them to just sit there. So the second week, so this would be week 4. Yeah, 4.5. I took the pills that flush it out, and over 12 hours, I did continue to pass all of the blood clots out. A week later, I had an ultrasound, and there were just tiny little bits of blood clot left in the uterus, and we felt that they would just work themselves out like the rest had. And so that was kind of like, I was very worried during that time because I just like wasn't feeling the best like when the blood clots were passing. And also like they were worried about anemia because I was losing so much blood. But once they were all gone, the bleeding went back to like light. I am currently 8 weeks postpartum. This week I am still bleeding though, so hopefully that stops. It's obviously very light. It's more like a spotting, and it's not concerning to me. Like I don't feel bad. I don't feel like lethargic or tired, other than the fact that like I'm not sleeping a ton. But yeah, that's basically all that happened with that. You know, I think I was more stressed out about having to have like a surgery because I didn't want to have to go back to the hospital. Like I'm just like, I want to be done with that place. I'm over it. But you know, obviously we would do what we have to do. You know, like I'm just happy that that's clearing itself up. Again, my C-section scar feels great. I started walking last week, and let me tell you, I am super, I don't say out of shape, but we did a lap around this like giant like lake where we live, and I felt like I was dying at the end of it. Like my butt hurt, my thighs hurt, like my abdomen hurt, and I wasn't even the one pushing the baby stroller. My husband was. So I definitely am excited to continue walking and getting back into shape and trying to, you know, move a little more. I enjoy being out and about. So 100% like being able to walk outside. The weather is beautiful here in Arizona. It's fall going into winter. And so like I'm just doing everything I can to be outside and walk with the boys. And hopefully like I'll get my stamina back up. I won't feel like I'm going to pass out every time I make it around the block. But it actually has felt really good to walk. And I'm not sure how soon I'll like actually go back to the gym. I think a good goal for me to set for myself now that I'm 8 weeks postpartum, I have my checkup appointment in 4 days. I think will be just to like walk and enjoy the process of being outside and moving my body, but not putting any pressure on myself to go to the gym and get back into shape or build muscle or anything like that. Right now, I just don't feel like that is something I even want to do. I just like have been enjoying being out in nature and walking around. So Yeah, I know it's a lot, but basically it comes my C-section, a little bit of the bleeding, and then this week I'll be going in for a blood test that will look at my liver enzymes, my kidneys, and my blood, all things that were deeply affected by uh, the HELLP syndrome, just to make sure they're 100%. When I left the hospital, obviously we were on the upward trajectory, but we weren't actually at 100%. So yeah, like that's, I'm fingers crossed. I'm feeling amazing that when I go, they're going to say, everything looks amazing and you're good to go. I think early on, I was very emotional. I felt like my emotions were very up and down with, just the stress from the blood clots, the stress from not being able to breastfeed as well, the boys not latching very well, not producing a lot of milk. And so I felt like I deeply took those to heart as if all those things were my fault. And so I try not to beat myself up about it, but I just felt kind of defeated with like, just kind of feeling like I couldn't feel better or things weren't going as smoothly as I wanted them to. Since that time, I've really worked on letting little things go. I think emotionally, I was really stressed out about what happened at the hospital. I really felt like I kind of didn't even want to address it like mentally. I didn't want to dwell on it. I didn't want to think about it. Since then, I definitely have spent some time like understanding like how serious things got and then how grateful I am to be healthy at this point. So that's been good. I think eventually uh, I won't feel as badly about the birth as I do now. Like, I don't want to say feel bad, but I don't feel great about it. I still feel like there are things that I regret or wish had gone differently. And it's hard to let go of those feelings. I know I need to, but, just being honest, it's hard when you have a birth plan and like now I just spent the last couple of weeks ruminating on like, what if, what if, what if. But I also am really finding myself being present and in the moment and really enjoying the boys. And so that itself has really helped like let go of some of the things that I feel like I was upset about because I have so much to be happy for. And I hope that that process continues in that direction where I feel amazing with what happens eventually and understand that like it is out of my control. And more than anything, like the best thing that ever happened to me got to happen. I got 2 beautiful babies and I got my health back. Also, I do want to talk about the fact that when I was pregnant, I was starving because I had such bad heartburn and my stomach was like smashed flat that I barely felt like I could eat anything. I was constantly hungry, but I was constantly sick feeling when I did eat, constantly throwing up. And so now that I'm postpartum and I don't have heartburn and I have a full stomach back, I have been craving sugar. It has been so bad. And so this past week, I went and got a ton of fruit from the store, just like fresh fruit. And I am determined to curb my sweet tooth a little bit. But I think I just feel like I'm making up for lost time. And the fact that it's like that time of year where it's Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas coming up, I honestly feel that my sweet tooth has gotten a little too out of control and I've indulged it very deeply. But, it is what it is. And I'm feeling really good. So the goal next is to kind of cut back on the amount of sugar I'm eating and start enjoying like a more balanced diet where I'm not like craving sugar at every meal. And I think that's just a little of me backing off on how much sugar I'm eating. And then obviously just eating healthier sugars, like instead of going for chocolate or chocolate or chocolate all the time. So that's my 8-week postpartum update. I hope I didn't forget anything. Oh, I was going to show you like what it looks like right now. Like I'll just show you my abdomen. I have a lot of stretch marks. Sorry if this is blurry. And you can see like I've lost a lot of the baby weight, but I still have like a lot of like loose skin. And then of course like the stretch marks haven't changed since I have been home. Like I don't think they've gotten lighter. I don't think they've gotten like worse. I just think that they are what they are right now. And hopefully over time they'll fade, but I am happy that for the most part I had lost all the weight by week 3, but then gained some back as I started producing more milk and eating better for my breastfeeding journey. And so I'm not back to my birth weight, and I'm kind of okay with that, or pre-birth weight, and I'm kind of okay with that right now. I feel like I feel good and I feel healthy, so I'm trying to now stay off the scale. Obviously, it's impossible when you go to the doctor's office, you see your weight. So that's just how I know I had lost all the weight and then gained a little bit back. I had gained like 5. I think I gained 10 pounds and then I've lost 5 again. So my weight actually has fluctuated a ton in this postpartum journey. And again, I don't know if that has happened to anyone else, but it's just like wild. I feel like I like lost most of the weight because I was sick in the beginning. And then I gained a lot of it back trying to build up like a milk supply. And now it's just evening itself back out. I don't know. But anyways, I'm so happy I got to share my postpartum journey. Happy 8 weeks to me. And let me know, like, how was your postpartum journey? What did it look like emotionally, physically? And where are you? Like, is your postpartum journey 1 year? And like, if you had a traumatic birth, like, when was it that you just kind of stopped like blaming yourself or just feeling down about it? Even if you're happy in all other aspects, like, when did you like truly let that aspect of it go? Because, as I work towards that, I really feel like it's important that I continue to get there. But, like, I want to be gracious with myself and give myself time to like mourn the birth I wanted and also come to terms with the birth I had. So if anybody has experienced this as well, like, drop me a comment below. I love to hear your stories as well. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.